We'll find a better home for you.
Well, that was the first, but not nearly the last time that Sheriff Eddie Patton would have an animal problem solved by Sally Grant. You couldn't have asked for a better introduction to Lakeside, especially if you're going to open up a pet shop here. And that's exactly what Sally planned to do. Out on the edge of town was some property she'd inherited from a very old and distant relative. At one time, this little farm and the old-timer who owned it had been the center of the world for a one-man dog named Duke. All that was changed now, but for Duke, there was only one place and one person. Of course, Sally didn't know anything about that. Anyway, she had a more immediate problem to face. She'd been told the place was a little run down, but this was ridiculous. Well, it hadn't cost her any money, but she was going to have to make a big investment just the same, in time and labor. Tried to get into the act, but mostly they did more hindering than helping, especially when they just sat around and looked critical. Fortunately, Sally did have some helpful help, too. She'd hired a part-time assistant named Julie Morgan. When the work was done, there was just time enough for a little pet shop warming party. Then Sally was open for business. Lakeside had been needing someone like Sally for a long time. In a matter of weeks, she got to be nearly indispensable to a lot of people, and especially to Sheriff Eddie Patton. Of all the animals around Lakeside, about the only one that Sally didn't know yet was Duke. These days, he was living in a cave a little ways up the hill. That way, he could be close to his old home and far enough away to keep out of sight. About daybreak one morning, though, homesickness and curiosity finally got the better of him. Being lonesome and people-shy, Duke was always on the lookout for four-footed friends. Well, right now he'd hit the jackpot. A whole cage full of canine companionship. Duke wasn't the kind to let a little thing like a closed door be any bar to friendship. Having friends was fine, but one big point had to be settled right away. Who was boss? Duke was boss, right? Right. Good enough. Might as well start off with a guided tour of the territory.